Hello everyone, I'm Cole from the Kingdom, and today I want to talk about the Kett. Regardless of how the Kett served in Andromeda, or how well or poorly they were presented, the Kett themselves are a complex, intriguing race. The Kett we see in Mass Effect Andromeda are a military force, come to conquer the Angara and forcibly convert them into more Kett. There's some allegory here, but let's not get into that. The fascinating thing about the Kett is their focus on biology. Rather, their obsession with it. It is the foundation of their religion, and they are a theocracy. Their religion is everything to them. They seek out any organic species regardless of how evolved they are, and they isolate useful genes and incorporate them into their own genome. Their exaltation takes those of the species that are physically, quote, worthy, and convert them into more Kett. This process completely rewrites their genetic makeup. The exaltation fluid isn't fully explained, but we do know that it contains the DNA of the Archon. Exaltation provides a biologically instilled devotion to their progenitors and their superiors in the Kett hierarchy. The Kett see themselves as divine, and worship their own leaders. Those chosen from the highest ranking Kett get exalted further, and they too are worshipped, albeit to a lesser degree. However, because the Archon abandoned protocol to focus on the Remnant, and hoarded the knowledge for himself, he was seen by many as heretical. For Kett, protocol is sacred, holy, and the Archon violated that, which gave rise to an insurrection that still held to the Kett's core beliefs and saw themselves as divine, but just wanted to oust the Archon for what they saw as a betrayal on his part. For example, they were supposed to send regular updates to the Senate in their home cluster, but the Archon decided not to. He also focused on studying Remnant tech instead of their duty, which was conquering the Angara, which is probably why he didn't send updates to the Senate. The main versions of the Kett we fight are exalted Helios species. Most notably, the Chosen were once Angara. The Anointed were also Angara, who were either exalted further or given a different blend to fulfill a certain role. The Destined are ancestral Kett, and we still aren't sure what exactly that means, but we can deduce that they hail from the Kett Heartlands, the Kett home cluster. Ascendants are high-ranking Kett that have already received the Angaran genes that allow for their bioelectricity and its manipulation. It appears they need implants to use it reliably. So now's a good time to talk about Kett culture as a whole, not just in Helios. The Kett have a senate. They have a variety of citizens, but we don't know much about how they are structured. They probably have some kind of a caste system, but it's unconfirmed. They do have slaves, or vassal species, that do the work they don't care to. The Kett do believe they are genetically superior to all others. Even their language, Tonizet, literally translates to speaking correctly, which I find hilarious. Biology is the basis of their religion. They have traveled very far and collected genes from likely thousands of different species and incorporated it into their own genome. It is theorized that this practice began out of necessity, as though the very first species to become Kett were dying out and turned to harvesting genes from other species as a means to survive. That eventually grew to the religious practices such as exaltation we see today. Also, contrary to what many seem to think, the Kett are individuals with personalities, desires, ambitions, relationships, etc. They may be religious zealots biologically predisposed to worship their leaders, but they are not mindless thralls. In the Kett Exaltation Temple on Vold, we can find messages sent between Kett which show they have community and personality, albeit within a cult-like society. Exalted Kett do retain at least some of their memories from their life before. The Moshae describes it like a dream they are eager to forget. It's worth noting that exaltation is not efficient. Moshae Seva speculates that if they have such a mastery of genetics, clones would be a much more viable option for reproduction, especially for such a xenophobic culture. Exaltation is time-consuming and labor-intensive. Exaltation is not just about reproduction. It's really about spreading their gift and uplifting other races. Now let's talk about Kett technology. I think their technology is one of the coolest things about them. You know how with humans as a species, our primary scientific focus has been technology? Well, for the Kett, their primary scientific focus has been biology. And much like their own biology, their technological advancements are taken from other species that they've conquered. Anything useful they find other races using, they just take it and make it their own. Some have pointed out that this is similar to the Roman Empire taking cultural aspects from conquered peoples, except with the Kett, it's genes and technology. They're also very fond of biomimetic technology. Most of what they use functions like something organic in one way or another. For example, their ships have air ventilation systems, heat management, and electrical systems that all mimic behavior seen in living creatures. Their drive cores, while traversing relatively short distances, like a single cluster, work in a similar way as the Milky Way race's drive cores. However, for longer distances, like traveling between clusters, they utilize something similar to an Alcubierre drive, which is a real theoretical concept. Essentially, it gravitationally contracts space in front of them and expands it behind them. This kind of makes up for the lack of mass relays, but this takes a lot longer, because mass relays are instant. For these longer journeys, the Kett also appear to utilize cryostasis, or at least something similar. Kett weaponry favors projectiles which are surrounded in plasma. Some also make use of systems that manipulate magnetic fields to a small degree. The Kett Carphalon injects neurochemical stimulants into the user's hand with each successful strike, giving the user a biological reward for successfully hitting their targets. Because this applies to other species as well, it's speculated that these are sometimes given to members of the Kett's vassal species. So, in conclusion, the Kett are a totalitarian theocracy that takes everything they want or need from other races, including both technology and genes. They see themselves as divine, worship their leaders, and have an obsession with biology that extends to mimicking organic systems in their technology. Their technological advancements are mostly stolen and appropriated. So I guess that about wraps this up. Let me know what you guys think about the Kett in the comments section, and let me know if there are any other topics you'd like to see me cover. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.